Here's a story from Grandpa for my three favorite little girls, Emma, Ayla, and Audrey. Last time I read you a story called The Tree and Me, and I told you about how one tree in particular was very important to me as I was growing up. Today's story is about an old rock, which sounds like it might be pretty boring, but it's not. Rocks exist on a whole different timeline than you and I do, and that can make them pretty interesting. Here's the story. Old Rock is not boring. Written and illustrated by Deb Piluti. Old Rock had been sitting in the same spot at the edge of a clearing in the middle of a pine forest for as long as anyone could remember, and even before that. "Being a rock seems awfully boring," said Tall Pine. "You sit in the same spot day after day," said Spotted Beetle. "It's a very nice spot," said Old Rock. "Don't you want to go anywhere?" asked Hummingbird. "I've flown all over the world and sipped the nectar of exotic flowers. I would surely be bored if I could not fly." "I flew once," said Old Rock. "Gosh," said Tall Pine. "How?" asked Spotted Beetle. "Rocks don't fly," said Hummingbird. Old Rock told them about the time in the beginning when darkness was all around. "And then I erupted out of a volcano and soared through a fiery sky into the bright light of a new world." "So it was just the one time," said Hummingbird. "And now you're sitting here," said Tall Pine. "Being bored," said Spotted Beetle. "I'm not bored," said Old Rock. "Don't you want to see more?" asked Spotted Beetle. "If I climbed to the tip-top branch of a tall pine, I might see a deer mouse nibbling seeds in a nearby tree, or watch ships sailing across the big lake." Old Rock said, "I've seen a lot." Old Rock told them about the time a group of friendly dinosaurs lumbered by, munching every leaf in sight. Then, many years later, a not-so-friendly dinosaur came looking for a meal. "I've not seen her." "Thanks." Little dinosaurs hiding behind the big rock when the big dinosaur came looking for something to eat. Time passed, things changed, and the world chilled. Which wasn't too bad, because Old Rock took a ride in a glacier and toured the land. Once the glacier melted, it left me perched on the top of a ridge, and I could see the place where the sky touches the earth. "My, you have seen a lot," said Spotted Beetle. "How unusual," said Hummingbird. "Yes, but that was ages ago," said Tall Pine. "Aren't you bored now? Don't you want to move? My limbs flutter gently in a breeze and dance wildly when the wind blows." "I've never danced, but I'm pretty good at doing somersaults," said Old Rock. Old Rock revealed that after teetering on the ridge for a while, the ground rumbled, and I tumbled and tumbled down, down, down into a valley. Grasses grew, mastodons roamed, and lakes formed. In the illustration, a mastodon, which is kind of like a hairy elephant, is sitting down on Old Rock, and Old Rock is saying, "Shouldn't you be roaming?" "I never knew a rock had moves like that," said Tall Pine. "I wish I could have seen those things," said Spotted Beetle. "What happened next?" asked Hummingbird. "A pine forest sprouted up around me. One day a strong breeze shook a pine cone loose. From the pine cone a seed fell onto the forest floor. I watched that seedling grow to be the tall pine who dances in the wind and keeps me company. Sometimes a Spotted Beetle wanders along to report all that he sees, and every so often the loveliest Hummingbird stops to rest after a long flight, and she describes the amazing places she's visited." "It's a very nice spot," said Old Rock. "Yes, it is," agreed Tall Pine. "Very nice," said Spotted Beetle. "Not boring at all," said Hummingbird. So here at the end of the book, the author has put together kind of a timeline of everything that has happened to Old Rock. 1.8 billion years ago, Old Rock forms deep under the Earth's crust. Metamorphic rocks are created with extreme heat and pressure. It can take millions of years for metamorphic rock to form. 300 million years ago, a volcano erupts and Old Rock is blasted into the sky. During a pyroclastic eruption, gases, ash, rocks, and lava blobs can be ejected. 150 million years ago, Old Rock chats with a friendly dinosaur. Gigantic sauropods like the Brachiosaur appeared during the Jurassic period. 66 million years ago, Old Rock meets a hungry T-Rex. Tyrannosaurus rex lived during the Cretaceous period, which ended 65.5 million years ago. 2.6 million years ago, Old Rock begins a journey in a glacier. Glaciers covered much of the Earth's surface during the Pleistocene epoch. 16,000 years ago, the glacier retreats and leaves Old Rock perched on a ledge. There have been several cooling periods during Earth's history. 11,000 years ago, a mastodon stops to rest. Mastodons roamed North America for almost 24 million years until their extinction 10,000 years ago. Present day, Old Rock, tall pine, spotted beetle, and hummingbird sit in a very nice spot at the edge of a clearing in the middle of a forest, and they are not bored. And that's the end of the story. I've always loved big rocks. I like climbing on them and looking at them and thinking about them. Not so much the big rocks that you find in parks and neighborhoods that were probably put there to look pretty. I like the big rocks that you find in the desert or the woods or the mountains that may have been in the exact same spot for millions of years, like the rock in this story. It's really interesting to sit on that kind of a big rock and think about how another person may have sat on that same rock hundreds or thousands of years ago, or maybe was touched by an ancient dinosaur millions of years ago, or maybe even was around way back when the Earth was formed. Now that's something to think about, which is interesting and not at all boring. Always remember that Grandpa loves you because you're not at all boring, and I hope to see you soon. Bye-bye.